Welcome in on a Tuesday. Although it feels like a Monday around here, it kind of feels like a reaction Monday in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance, go! With the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance all across the great state of Mississippi. Hometown heroes, that's your local Farm Bureau Insurance agents. I'm Matt. Beaver is here. And y'all, yeah, look, hope you enjoyed your Labor Day holiday. We did around here. Back with you here today on this Tuesday in the Bureau. Normal show. It's a Tuesday, but it really is like a reaction Monday. We have made it to Reaction Week, the first of the year. Hallelujah. Full first week of football action in the books. And honestly, okay, it happens to me every year. I don't know where to start on these particular days of the show. You know, the first Monday after a full weekend of football, where in the world do you start? You know, all these different storylines and who won and who lost and who's better than you thought and who's a lot worse than they predicted. And then, of course, you have high school as well. And I didn't get to see the whole thing, but I stopped into the Brandon and Tupelo game for a little while, a couple of quarters back on Friday night before I got back on the road. And you talk about physical and competitive. I mean, really. And it's just, I got a lot of thoughts about that one. So, wherever you want to start today is just fine with me. Okay, so get on in here. There's lots of ways for you to be a part of the show, as usual. If you're just tuning in, I'll repeat this for you because it might be your first time here. But hey to you, if you're on YouTube or Facebook or X, formerly Twitter, all you got to do if you're out there in social media land, like watching the stream, just type a comment in, post it, and then I can see it all in one nice, neat column wherever it's coming from, and we can pop it up on the screen and talk to each other that way like this. Hunter is the first to comment today. He's on YouTube. He said, "Good day, everyone. Hey, Matt, I enjoyed your film breakdown as usual." Well, thank you, Hunter. He says, "I rewatched some of the game, and I was impressed with the wide receivers blocking downfield. I hope that unselfishness continues." Yep, we'll get in on that. And, yeah, I got it. Somebody typed in testing. Series Taylor says testing. Got it. See? Confirmed. So that's one way to be a part of the show. And you can text me on the Country Pleasing text line. It's wide open. Nick's already in here. I'll get to your text in a minute. But the number to text the show is, listen up, 885-3776. That's a 601 number, 885-3776. Again, you text that number, I'll get it. On the Country Pleasing text line, it's Country Pleasing Sausage, made right here in Mississippi at Country Meat Packers on Highway 49 in Florence, Mississippi. It's the best. Ain't no doubt about it. And call me. Of course, call me. I get to hear your voice on a reaction Monday/Tuesday. Come on the Junction phone line. The Junction phone line fueled by Prince Oil Company. Prince Oil's been fueling Central Mississippi for 60 years. Fuel in your vehicle, fuel in your stomach from the Junction delis all across the state of Mississippi. The best stops, the best chicken. I'm bragging on it. I bought some on Friday out there on the road. That Junction chicken. Man, if a place that serves that chicken that's that good, these Junction delis around the state, and I can get gas, and I might even in some of them pick up a Country Pleasing sausage dog, we're in business. So call me. The number to call, 897-1059. That's a 601 number, 897-1059. Let's see. For a sample, Nick on the Country Pleasing text line says, let's start with a conversation about the offensive line. All right, let me make that note. Hold on. Nick, offensive line. All right. That's coming up. We'll start with that. Over here on X, formerly Twitter, Mr. Taylor says, Mississippi State fan chiming in, proud of the adjustments the guys made in the second half. And they really did. Really did. Dominated the third quarter, and that's what blew the game open. We'll get to that and look at some of the numbers. There's just a sampling. First up, though, before I go too much further, if not, we'll get busy and forget about it. We don't want to do that. It's a big deal. Headlines. Here we go.
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world.
Good evening, and welcome to Eyewitness News.
Here's what's making news.
Headlines on the show brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank right here in Mississippi. Find them online at mortgagemanms.com. That's mortgagemanms.com. Today, our only headlines will be scores. You may know them, but just for feel goods, we're going to go over scores. Of course, it was Auburn over Baylor by 14 back on Friday, 38-24. Saturday score, State with a win, 34-17 over Southern Miss, blew it out in the second half. Ohio State and Texas, what do you make of that? I'll just go ahead and throw this out there. Ohio State's really good. Won the game 14-7, and Arch Manning was not as bad as some people would like you to believe in that ballgame. LSU with a nice win over Clemson, 17-10. Georgia, 45-7 blowout of Marshall. What in the world happened to Alabama? Florida State just whipped the Crimson Tide at Doak Campbell Stadium, 31-17. I mean, a whipping. Florida pitched a shutout, 55-0 over Long Island. Oklahoma, 35-3 winners over Illinois State. Texas A&M struggled a little bit with UTSA. You know, I guess it never really was in doubt, but I mean, it's 42-24. It was a 21-10 game at halftime, so it is what it is. Ole Miss absolutely destroyed Georgia State, primarily in the second half. Final score 63-7. Tennessee with a win at home over Syracuse, 45-26. Big first half for Tennessee. It really was never close. Kentucky did struggle with Toledo, but got away with a win, 24-16. You say struggle, but it's just there's not a lot of difference between those two teams right now, so it's a win at home for Kentucky. Arkansas blew out Alabama A&M 52-7. Vandy blew out Charleston Southern 45-3. And then yesterday on Sunday, South Carolina 24-11 over Virginia Tech. And, from the SWAC, you go back to last week on Thursday. Of course, it was Alcorn State dropping their opener to Northwestern State 20-10. But I tell you what now, Valley was really competitive at home with a good Southern team. Southern won the game 34-29. That was one heck of a ball game right there. Valley with them step for step, just came up a little bit short. And Jackson State with a win on Saturday, 28-14 in the season opener against Hampton. And Jackson State just ran the football all over Hampton. And they had a kid, Ahmad Miller, who I need to know a little bit more about, who had in this game 10 carries, 172 yards, and 2 touchdowns, had a long run of 76. And you go, oh, well, he had one run that went for 70-something. Yeah, he did. Outside of that run, he still had 100 yards on the other 9 carries. And so he had a big day. So those are your scores, which are your headlines here today on this Reaction Day, brought to you by Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank, right here in Mississippi. Find them online at mortgagemanms.com. So like I say, it's a Reaction Day, so let me kind of just take the show, put it in your lap, and we'll go with it, all right? Let's see how far we can get. If I give you a quick response to any of your texts or comments and you want to dwell on it more, then feel free to circle back around and bring it back up to me so that we can dwell on it. Nick texts the show. He said, let's start with a conversation about the offensive line. Here's what I'll say. Just, pretty doggone good at times, Nick, but inconsistent. And, I mean, that was pretty obvious. You had some penalty stuff, but even just in terms of, how you're blocking it, it was a little bit of really good, and then, kind of bad. And then, hey, nice play, and then, shoot, kind of bad. You know what I mean? It was like, and it's almost to be expected. They got to be a little better, more consistent. Jason in Flagstaff texts the show. He says, heads up. He says, I don't know how bad they are, but Arizona State lost 3 offensive linemen and 1 defensive lineman in the game Saturday night. Could be nothing. Who knows? But for what it's worth. And, Jason, I did see where Dillingham, the coach at Arizona State, commented that some of those guys are going to watch them practice, today and tomorrow? Well, today, and decide whether or not they can go this week. I know this, Jason. At the beginning of the game, when they had their starting 5 out there on the offensive line, they're huge. I mean, that in terms of size and just heft and athleticism to go with it, Arizona State's offensive line looks just like an SEC offensive line. At least that was their starting five, what I saw at the beginning of that game the other night. And, man, the quarterback can run. They are fast. Man, they are fast on offense. That quarterback is fast. Their backs are really fast and physical, big on the offensive line. They have the number one receiver in college football, according to some. And defensively, they're very fast. I didn't think they were huge up front defensively, but certainly the back end of their defense, they can fly. It's a really fast football team who is also very physical. They had great energy in their game, and I just watched it, and outside of their hiccups, they were like State. They kept having penalties that were negating big plays and stuff, so it kind of brought the game back closer than it actually was. But I'm just telling you, I expect to see one of the best teams that State is going to have to play against this year. And I know what their schedule is. That's just what I saw watching Arizona State, and I'm not trying to blow smoke. Kenny, don't call me Ken, said, let's start with that goofy Dillingham. Okay, let me just say something, Kenny. I like Kenny Dillingham. I like the way he goes about his business. He's done a heck of a job. They're a really young guy, and I think he handles all that stuff well. And he had the comment about hotels, and there were no hotels around here except for a casino. And I went back, and the way that it came across, I think I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that it didn't necessarily come across the way he intended it. Here's what I think happened. I think that his ops people failed him a little bit, and that when they scheduled that game ever how many years ago, they didn't go ahead and nail down travel plans and reserve hotels and maybe waited till later. And so I think it sounds like they got themselves in a situation where you got to make plans where you're going to stay, and there's no hotels available, Starkville, Columbus, that they want to go to with the team. Those are already booked up and the rooms are gone. So like many other teams do, they go to Tupelo, which is an hour away. And it's very possible that somebody told him, yeah, I mean, you got the ones an hour away in Tupelo. Other than that, the biggest one nearby would be the one at the casino down in Philadelphia, which nobody ever stays at that casino to play here. I bet you that's what happened. So I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt now. Bo texted the show and said, just curious, which do you like better, calling games or your radio show? Oh, gosh. Like better? I can't even really compare them because they're two totally different things. With the radio show, I love, the time and you're not rushed to make a point. You can have a discussion and you get to talk with lots of other people, whether it's over the phone or both. Nowadays, texting back and forth with you, it's kind of the same as talking. That's just how that's socially, that's the norm now, and I like all that. I love the interaction. It's laid back and you don't have to go anywhere to do it. But the games are totally different because then you have the experience of going to something and seeing it with your own eyes and interacting with people in person, being there. And I really enjoy spending time with Neil Price. We've become really good friends, and we're the kind of I think he and I would be really good friends even if we didn't work together. Jay, we don't get to spend as much time with Jay because he's always down on the field, away from us. We talk with him over the microphone and stuff, and the whole crew. So I really enjoy the people at the ball games. And I do sort of professionally get a great big kick out of diagnosing what's happening on the field and trying to plug into the X's and O's battle, the scheme on either side and what's happening and how it's affecting the game. And I get a big kick out of that because, I have that knowledge built up over the years and experience, and I can most of the time figure out what's happening. And then the challenge of communicating it. But they're two totally different things. I can't really say that there's one that I enjoy more than the other. And that's just the honest truth. But speaking of, I've got it for you right here. Now's as good a time as any for you, Bo. This is what it sounded like, some of the highlights from the game with the voice of the Bulldogs, Neil Price, the other day from Learfield as State beats Southern Miss.
Anthony Evans is in the slot right. Transfer from Georgia. Thompson is wide right. Out of the gun. Shaping play action. Looking deep. Has Traore. Makes the grab on the numbers at the 20 to the 10, and he will coast into the end zone. Touchdown, Mississippi State. Seydou Traore gets the first of the year for the Bulldogs, and it's 6-0 MSU. Off the left hash, snap is back, hold is down, kick is away. It has the distance, and that one is good. Good from 55 yards. Kyle Ferry delivers in his first opportunity of the year, and State stretches the lead to 10-3 with 3:35 left in the first quarter. Now the tight end Heath comes in, attaches to the right side of the line. Braxton will keep straight ahead, gets stood up at the 45, down to the 44. I think they're going to drive him back just short.
Wow.
The officials say he did not make it. And State's defense comes through with a fourth down stop. It's Bingley Jones who comes through with a big stop on what the State bench called a swing play. Kyle Ferry, who's connected from 55 already today, will attempt one from 30 off the right hash. Snap is back, hold is down, the kick is away, and Kyle Ferry is on target. Two receivers right, they'll move a third to the right side. That's Aiden Williams. Handoff Bothwell, running left, has nothing but green grass and high tides as he races into the left corner of the end zone for a touchdown. Fluff Bothwell, who scored 13 rushing touchdowns at South Alabama last year, has his first as a Bulldog, and State stretches the lead to 19-10. At the goal line, they'll hand it to Bothwell again, and Bothwell bowls into the end zone. Touchdown, Mississippi State, the second for Fluff Bothwell in as many drives. And with 4:57 left in the third quarter, it's 26-10 Bulldogs. Tight end to the left. Braxton drops, throwing up the left side, intercepted. Mississippi State near the 40-yard line. A great read by Brylan Lanier, who gets the ball back for the Bulldogs with 4:50 left in the third quarter. Shaping, the State quarterback, hands to Booth, straight ahead, untouched, and into the end zone for his first touchdown of the year. Devon Booth with a 3-yard score gives State a 33-10 lead here late in the third. Benches begin to empty. A lot of Mississippi guys on these two teams. They all begin to find one another and shake hands as the final seconds tick off. And in the immortal words of the iconic Jack Crystal, you can wrap this one in maroon and white. State wins the season opener here at Southern Miss, 34-17.
All right, and those calls from the radio. Neil Price, voice of the Bulldogs, compliments of Learfield and the Bulldog Sports Network. Look at here, though, on YouTube. Sven, here's what Sven thought about the game. He said, "Hail State, everyone. State is still a very bad team. 14 penalties, 1 sack against a 1-11 Sunbelt team, and a very close game into the third quarter. Does anyone believe we win against Arizona State with 14 penalties?" I promise you they won't. Sven, I'll tell you that, it's just what my eyes tell me. I'm not trying to make, any excuse ahead of time. Just being honest with you. Not trying to pour water on the excitement, but State could commit no penalties and still not win this game. That's how good Arizona State is. They're really good. Now, at the same time, if State plays really well and forces a few mistakes and has a big atmosphere, and you get the crowd into it, do something good early, anything can happen. State could pull it off. But Arizona State, this is a very good team coming in there. And so, no, you commit all those penalties again, it's all over but the crying. I can promise you that. Jake from Yazoo said, "Have a good one, boys. I'll parlay 2 names are mentioned, Arch and Manning." Yeah, listen, Saturday you couldn't miss it. After the game, I searched college football out there on Twitter, or now X, and it's all over the place and lots of stuff. And I went back and watched, and, Ohio State really got after him, and he did make some mistakes. He was not all world in every play, but he also made some fantastic throws. Of the 17 or so completions that he had, there was a few of them I went, oh my gosh. Wow. Rewind that. I want to see that one. So he can do some stuff now. It's just that he also did some weird things like dropping arm angles when he didn't really need to and all. So I don't know what but he wasn't nearly as, like some people would lead you to believe he's just awful. Well, no, he wasn't. That Ohio State team is going to make a bunch of people look awful this year. They're really good. Patrick texts the show. He says, Matt, how can State pay linemen $15 million when we have the lowest NIL budget and average spending in the SEC at $6.4 million? LOL. Southern Miss has a crybaby coach for making up numbers because State has not released any NIL numbers this season. Well, Patrick, this is what I will tell you. You'd be surprised what State had to spend to put this team together. Over 30 transfers, new guys, and then you got 18 signees as well, and 10 or so JUCOs. And because of where they have been, State was in a position that to build your roster with some transfers to get your feet under you automatically, they're going to have to overspend, and everybody knows it. And he's not just throwing out that number. Okay, that's a promise. Those numbers, when coaches start throwing out numbers, it's the kind of thing that are, behind the scenes, it's largely known and accepted. And I told some people this the other day. It's, to me and you, it is an unbelievable amount of money, $15 million. In that world, 15 to 18 million is like, in the SEC, is like baseline. It's not really egregious. It's way more than a Sun Belt will spend, but it's not much in the SEC. Back after this.
This is Jake Mangum, former Mississippi State Bulldog.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. Local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday nights. So it's personal with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in all 82 counties in this entire state. And if anything does arise and you need to, run it up the chain or up the flagpole, the home offices for Farm Bureau Insurance are in Jackson, Mississippi. It's right here in the state of Mississippi. It doesn't get more local than and personal, the service that you get with Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. I can't recommend them highly enough. And if you haven't, recently, let them give you a quote. Home, life, auto. It's Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Well, look at what we have here. Christmas come early. Boom. Little green onion country pleasing. That's not all. Little original smoked sausage flavor. That's not all. Jalapeno and cheddar. It has to be one of my favorite, just judging by how much of that stuff I eat. Oh, can't forget. Andouille. Don't be saying andouille, it's andouille. And last, but not least, pork and pineapple, bun size, 3 links bun size. Look at that right there. Be careful. Come on, get it. It's mine. Come here, jalapeno. Oh, that's all mine. Country pleasing sausage. We'll be right back after this message from C Spire.
My name is Matt Wyatt. I host the Matt Wyatt radio show out of my home using C Spire fiber.
And when we hit the road as a family, Matt's show goes with us, thanks to C Spire Wireless.
Its ultra-reliable nationwide network lets me broadcast live from anywhere.
And never miss a moment that matters.
Connecting you to what inspires you most on C Spire's blazing fast 5G network. And right now, get your choice of free phone. That's customer inspired. That's C Spire.
Y'all like coffee? I know you do. Check it out. Little High Point Roasters from New Albany, Mississippi. That is the breakfast blend. It's a whole bean. And if you notice, that's how much I've had already. Brazil Oberon. Not Orgeron or Orgeron, you LSU. No, Brazil Oberon. That ain't all. What we got there? What flavor is that? Papua New Guinea, grade AA. Bring it on. High Point Roasters, New Albany, Mississippi. Roast it right there. That's whole bean. One more. I got more.
At The Zone 105.9 and coming to you worldwide at TheZone1059.com.
All right, back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. They are your home team. Sven on YouTube said, to Bama, well, Ty Simpson is what I thought he was. Just a bad QB, can't throw the ball. DeBoer is 5-5 in his last 10 and lost to 4 unranked teams. Saban had the same amount in 17 years. Well, we knew that it was not going to be the same post Saban. There was just no way that it could be. There was no way that it could be the same after Saban. And not only is it not the same, it's just not even in the same universe. The shine is off, the toughness and the physicality has left, and at least the consistent week-to-week discipline that they used to get with him. So that's what I think. Craig, hey, it was great to meet you too. He said, man, it was good meeting you Friday night at the Brandon Tupelo football game. Let me tell you something right now. First of all, that was one heck of a football game. And I left before Tupelo took the lid off there in the third quarter. I must have been their bad luck. I don't know. But that's Brandon is a really good team. Brandon may win the rest of their games. Tupelo, what they are trotting out there in their defensive front, the size and athletic ability in their defensive front, the athletic ability and speed in the back end of that Tupelo defense is just, it's a little bit shocking when you see it in person. You're like, good night. This high school football team. I mean, it's impressive. And then offensively, okay, they're without their quarterback, so they're taking this all-world running back, J.J. Hill, and snapping him the ball. And he throws it some, but like the other night, this is Brandon we're talking about. They're really good. And play after play after play, you look, there's 9 in the box. Literally, it's not an exaggeration. They got 2 receivers out there, and there's a corner on each one, and everybody else is in the box. And it's like we know Tupelo is going to run it, and we still can't really stop them. It was something else. And my first time to the facility at Brandon High School, phenomenal. Just phenomenal. Loved it. The tailgating on the end of their stadium, they got a name for it down there. It's the coolest thing at a high school game. Like, I'm sure everybody's shooting for that. And I got a firsthand look at it because I went on the home side. I went up to the press box, walk up in there with y'all and get to see Jake. He's working. I really didn't get to talk to him. He was working, but that was really neat. They got the whole camera angles and so I see the view from the press box. And then I thought, I'm going to the visitor side because Tupelo's my hometown. I got friends sitting over there. I want to go see them. So I walked down to then go, and I walked through that tailgating area on the end of the stadium to try to go around to the visitor. Realize you can't get over. They got it blocked off. Then I realized it's totally blocked off. You cannot go from the home side at Brandon Stadium to the visitor side without either a pass to go in and cross over the field or just go outside and come back in. But eventually I got over there. Anyway, I was impressed with all of it. Really enjoyed it. It was good to meet you too. Robbie texts the show. He says, War Eagle, good buddy. Man, hey, Robbie, remember that when everybody saw that practice clip of Freeze yelling at his quarterback and they were like, oh, he must stink. Can't believe we're in this position. And I told you how stupid that was. Yeah, that was really stupid because he can run. He can run. Kenny, don't call me Kenny. He said Dillingham should have thrown his staff under the bus, not small towns in Mississippi, just to get a laugh. Yeah, I absolutely can see where you're coming from on that. I mean, I can absolutely see where you're coming from on that. All right, here we go. Here comes the train. Over to the phone line, the junction phone, fueled by Prince Oil Company. It is Terrence on line 1. Thanks for calling, Terrence. What's up?
Hey, Matt, how you doing this afternoon?
Great.
Good, that's good, that's good. A few observations from this past college football weekend. Kudos to Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Jackson State. Kudos to all those schools for winning their games and playing pretty impressively over the weekend. My daughter was down there for the Mississippi State Southern Miss game, and while she was a little bit disappointed, she said she was had a little excitement and just to see what Southern Miss looks like for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So I was actually impressed with Mississippi State, the way they ran their offense. The defense played well, lights out in the second half from catching the game. So kudos to all those teams here in the state for winning their games. Me and a frat brother of mine, we were talking, and he asked me what I think Ole Miss is going to do on Saturday against Kentucky. I said, out of all the games of their schedule, Kentucky will have Ole Miss's undivided attention just because of what happened last year.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Rebels get a lead that Lane Kiffin does not let up. Speaking of Lane Kiffin, all you Alabama fans, I know y'all think the sky is falling. It's just week 1. The sky is not falling. You played a bad game. I listened to Feinbaum's show yesterday, and it was like a wine fest about all these Alabama fans. There was one caller that said that maybe they should go after Lane Kiffin. Alabama fans, slow your roll. It's just week 1. We're not talking about coaching fires just yet. If you go 3-3, maybe then have that conversation, but not after week 1. Just relax. Just relax.
All right, Terrence, thanks for the call.
All right.
Appreciate it. You hear that, Bama fans? He said, just relax. It's just week 1. Don't be passing around Lane Kiffin's cell phone number when you find it in some dark web search, okay? Not yet. Tracking planes from Tuscaloosa to Oxford, right? Just chill out, he said. Just chill out. State's defense did play well. They're better. Southern Miss has just bigger, better athletes kind of across their team than they had a year ago because of those 65 transfers. And the quarterback is as good as advertised. It's just he didn't, as a whole, State was a little bigger, deeper, faster. And you got in the second half that really showed, I thought. Although, State didn't play a very clean ball game, and they certainly, you wouldn't say they played a consistent one. But one of the most consistent parts of their game was the run defense, and I think that's what's encouraging. Now, again, the offensive line and running attack you face this past week versus Southern Miss versus what you're going to face this week with Arizona State, night and day. Trust me, go ahead and get ready. Even if what Jason says out there in Arizona, some of those old linemen are banged up for Arizona State. Just trust me, I'm telling you, the one you're going to face, a whole different animal. For sure. But there's also, now you got tape on everybody. If you watched State defensively, there was some slanting in the front in certain situations, but there wasn't a whole lot of stunts and twists and things throughout the game and drawing up stuff in downs and distances that you'll start to see now that everybody's got tape on each other. So we still have a lot to learn, and that's good news. But, State's, to have a chance in a game like this and some of these others, I mean, State's off to a good start, but they're going to have to play a lot better on the line of scrimmage, kind of overall to win the kind of games that they have coming up. Arizona State, Tennessee later. You see what I'm saying? Regarding the quarterback at Arizona State, his name is Leave It, and he got better and better and better as the year went on last year. I thought he played well in the playoff for them last year against Texas. And the guy he's impressive. He is a ball of energy. He can absolutely fly when he takes off. He's going to give State's defense fits with his ability to run around and move. And he can throw it. I'm impressed with him. Jason in Flagstaff said, yeah, that QB is grossly underrated because he was crippled 2/3 of the year last year. He had a rib issue or something like that? He said, regarding Dillingham, he has a bad habit of sticking his foot in his mouth. He said he's not like malicious or mean-spirited, but he's just kind of aloof and airheaded outside of X's and O's, if that makes sense. Yeah, it does make sense. And like I said, Jason, I don't think there was any ill intent in what he was saying. I think that somebody told him, hey, coach, he's like, why are we an hour from the stadium in a place called Tupelo and not in the town? Well, it was the only place that could host us other than a casino, which is in Philadelphia down the road. And that's probably the info that he went with. And, a game like this, first home game of the year, if you waited to try to make your plans as game ops over there, there is a chance that the other hotel, sometimes you have visiting teams that'll stay right across the street, from campus there in town. But if those are booked up or Columbus is booked up, or if they just, you waited too late, you can't get the whole thing. Then, and most teams stay in Tupelo anyway. So I think it came across in a way that he probably didn't necessarily mean. It came across as there's a casino there, but that's it. There ain't no hotels. Well, that's not really true. It's just not true, and we know that to not be true. So that's what I think, Jason. I'm fine with it. Whatever. I'm going to kick it in high gear when we come back. Get into your texts, your comments on the live stream, and more. Plenty of time left here today. In the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio, Farm Bureau, go with the home team. Back after this.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
The Junction Delis, convenience redefined, and Prince Oil Company, a match made in heaven. The Junction Deli, fueled by Prince Oil Company. Prince Oil Company has been fueling Central Mississippi since 1960. It's a pretty good little while. Wonderful people. Man, am I ever more tickled that they're a part of the show and I'm a part of their team now. As you know, if you listen to the radio show, I've been to the Junction in several different places around the state. I've bought gas just like you at a lot of places that are fueled by Prince Oil Company, and they are really wonderful people. By the way, that brand spanking new Junction Deli, Chevron, right across the highway from Germantown High School. It's in Canton, but we say Gluckstadt. Do you realize they and other Junction Delis, they serve country-pleasing sausage over there on the buffet? They don't get much better than that. The Junction and Prince Oil Company. That's what I'm talking about. We'll be right back after this message from C Spire. My name is Matt Wyatt. I host the Matt Wyatt radio show out of my home using C Spire fiber.
And when we hit the road as a family, Matt's show goes with us, thanks to C Spire Wireless.
Its ultra-reliable nationwide network lets me broadcast live from anywhere.
And never miss a moment that matters.
Connecting you to what inspires you most on C Spire's blazing fast 5G network. And right now, get your choice of free phone. That's customer inspired. That's C Spire.
Welcome to my photography studio downtown Tupelo. Everybody needs a headshot, especially if you're in the professional world. in sales, any sort of customer related business, outreach business, anything like that, everybody needs a headshot. Here at my photography studio in Tupelo, we do a lot more than just headshots, but we're kind of focusing on headshots for that very reason, because everybody needs it. Let me show you a little something about it. One thing I'm able to do here is sort of have 2 to 3 different looks in a small space that we can do in a short amount of time. Several different looks and styles of lighting with studio equipment, studio lighting. Some with flash and a particular look that I've worked on, a constant lighting scenario where you sit down, the lights are already on, you lean in, and we kind of illuminate the whole face. And we get several options in the studio in a short amount of time. Here's 2 priorities for me when I shoot headshots. One is it has to look like you. Okay, none of this fake stuff. The other goal is it's got to look like you at your best. And that's my job as a photographer. And I've got a lot of experience over the years, and I feel really confident I can do that for you. I would love to schedule a session for you here at the studio in downtown Tupelo. I'm above the Reed's Gift Shop, just off of Troy Street, the corner of Troy and Spring. If you can't get to Tupelo, that's okay. Let's talk about it, because we can pack the studio up and come to you if the schedules fit and that sort of thing. I'd love to help you with your headshots. I think everybody needs them. I'm inviting you to please email me, reach out. You can go to my website, mattwhyattmedia.com, email address matt@mattwhyattmedia.com, and let's talk about your headshot. Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi, local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games.
Matt Wyatt, right here, right now, on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
All right, back with you. Here we go. Let's get it on a tee here and see what we can find. I'm Matt in the Bureau. Beav is here making this all happen. Sven talking about Arch Manning said to the chosen one, the Golden Goose, 40 yards until the 4th quarter. That's all Manning could do. Choked against Georgia and now against Ohio State. Not a big-time QB so far, but he can get better. Danny says, Hail State, Matt, a better second half compared to the first half for the Dogs. Yet, a win is a win, yeah. And, in the first half would have, could have, should have looked a lot better, right, if it weren't for some penalties that took points directly off the board. In that first half, particularly that touchdown by Camario Taylor at the end of the first half, ran it in, which, of all the exciting things, the short yardage package with Camario Taylor at quarterback is that'll get you on the edge of your seat right there. I really like the way that looked. He had a conversion run on what was it, a 4th down? I think it was, and then a touchdown run that got called back for holding, and it was right call. It was holding on the tight end there. Sven said Starkville versus Oak Grove, 57-54 must be the game of the year. How about that, huh? And it was funny. Here's so many people at the game in Hattiesburg on Saturday talking about Starkville and Oak Grove. I mean, game from the night before, 57-54. 1,200 yards of offense in that game. Wow. JS290 said the quarterback for North Carolina, not good last night. He likes to throw 50-50 balls into coverage. You talk about getting your fanny whipped. TCU, they didn't talk at all about TCU ahead of that game. They didn't want to talk about them much during the game. TCU gave them no choice. Hail State fans said, love the fireworks show at the end of the 3rd quarter of the North Carolina game as thousands of their fans were leaving early. So they went ahead and burned them because they couldn't do it afterwards. I wouldn't be surprised. Let's see here. Will says SEC teams that are feeling up this week: Missouri, LSU, Ole Miss, Tennessee, A&M, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Florida, South Carolina, MSU, Vandy, and Auburn 2. And so that would leave who feeling down? Bama and who else? Is that it? Just Bama? They the only one? Yeah. I see John in Rolling Fork texted the show. He said, for those of us who grew up listening to Jack, it's hard for anyone to fill those shoes, but Neil is doing a great job, isn't he? He is doing a heck of a job. Rebel Tiger Dog texts the show. He says, per Coach Sherrill, most games come down to the kicking game. Comment on State's kicking game, and what do you think Coach Sherrill would think of this team through one game? He says, I bet he'd say the Arizona State game probably will come down to the kicking game. Well, I mean, it might. So my comment on the kicking game for State is really good. I'm Neil, myself, we were not surprised to see him hit that school record kick. He's been doing that kind of thing all preseason. Ferry has been just lights out, man. Really good. Just getting better and better. Nobody was surprised to see him hit it, I'm telling you. And the thing that surprised me was that with the lights on and people rushing, State's punters didn't have the averages and the booming punts that they had been having in the preseason and then in warm-ups and that sort of thing. Now, some of that might have been where you were on the field, and they tell you where to kick the ball to for coverage stuff a lot of times. But based on everything I'd seen in the preseason, I expected the punts to be much deeper than they were with more hang time in the game. What would Coach Sherrill say about the Arizona State game? Well, this I do know he would say, and it would be 100% true. Game like that, the most physical team wins that game 9 out of 10 times. If not 19 out of 20 times, the most physical team across the board wins that kind of game. Listen, and I'm going to keep preaching a little bit, but went back and watched some of Arizona State. That's a really good football team. They are big offensively up front. Their backs are very physical. Their quarterback can really play. He's very fast. When he runs, he's got a little Manziel to him when he runs, I'm telling you. And good arm. They've got the number one, arguably, according to some, the number one receiving prospect in all of college football at Arizona State. They're good, man. And then defensively, they're not, you wouldn't call them huge or longer than some of these other SEC teams you're going to face, but they're very fast. They are a fast football team. This is a really good team coming to Starkville. Grumpy texts the show. He says, Matt, Grumpy had Beaver's Mega Alpha app on the entire game Saturday. You, Neil, and Jay, you guys had your usual A game. He said he did have the TV on, mute. He said, let's don't pour water on the Bulldogs, like you say. Grumpy's going to be a half-full guy about this Saturday. Arch will improve also. Hail State. I'm kind of with you on that. And I'm just looking at it realistically. I think, you could see the signs of a much improved team from State. And really everywhere, much improved. And, personnel and everything else, you could just see it. But you could also see the signs of lots of new people playing in games together for the first time. I thought one of the most consistent players you had in the game was Blake Shapen. He was very accurate with the ball. He had the one big mistake, and that was, he's never going to blame the receiver for that. You can't throw it to him. I don't know that Blake could really see that defender all that well. But when you're running that choice route into that zone coverage and they rotate it that way, it means there's another defender outside of you if you're the tight end. Yeah, you've got another route out there, but there's another underneath defender. So when you curl in the middle, you have to set up the throwing lane for the quarterback. You can't run that choice and turn your shoulders and sit right behind a linebacker. You've got to get away and find a throwing lane. So part of that's on the tight end right there also. But other than that, I thought Blake was really accurate with the ball and just smart with it throughout the day. Andre from Jackson. He texted earlier. He said, Clemson, Texas, and Bama will reach the playoffs. Clemson, Texas, and Bama, they all lost. He says they all will reach the playoffs. Then he said, MSU 27, Arizona State 20. I'm buying Arizona State this year. He said, he says, I'm buying that Arizona State this year won't sneak up on anybody. State's going to go 5-1 to start the season. That, according to Andre in Jackson. All right, over to the junction phone, fueled by Prince Oil Company on line 1. It's Gator Matt. What's up, Matt?
Well, tell Andre I hope he's not driving, because drinking and driving is just not advisable. No, I'm picking with you. I had to call and check on Beaver, make sure I had to do a wellness check, and I guess everything's all good there. Matt, listen, I don't think we can draw any conclusions after the first week, except for one, and I want your opinion on this. I don't think we could draw any firm conclusions other than I think Alabama's got some serious problems. Yeah, would you agree with me on that?
Yeah, they do. They do. Maybe they flash next week and are a great team and never have any issues. I don't know, but I don't. My eyes tell me they do have serious issues.
It's one thing if you're looking ahead and, they just kind of pop up, like in the middle of the year and something like this. This quarterback has been running smack for 4 months, and you had all off season with no other game to prepare. And I told Beeve, I said, Beeve, I think Florida fans, I think our lives on average are about 10 years less than the average fan just because of what we've had to go through. And I just told Beaver, I said, welcome to mediocrity. Matt, we'll talk to you later, my man.
Yeah, I appreciate the call, Matt. And see, so when you have like a line of scrimmage physicality problem where a team like Florida State's just knocking you around, shoving you, they are way more physical than you, offensive and defensive lines. Florida State. Well, I hate to tell you this, but that's the kind of thing when you look at it and you see it in week 1, you don't just flip a switch and all of a sudden you don't have that problem anymore. Like, that's who you are. 14 penalties or 3 or 4 lining up in the backfield where your tackle's got his foot too far back, that kind of stuff, you can just fix it just like that. But when you physically can't push and shove with a team like Florida State for 4 quarters, that's hard to fix in a short period of time. Well, they got Wisconsin coming up. We'll see. They've got Georgia coming up in Athens. This is Alabama that we're talking about. They've got Vanderbilt. They've got Tennessee coming. They got South Carolina in Columbia, who they got LSU at home, Auburn at the end of the year. Those are all teams that, based on what we saw this week, just from a physical standpoint, would be able to get on the field and just go nose to nose with Alabama and shove them around a little bit. And that's just what we are not used to seeing with Alabama. That's the thing you never doubted when you watched any Saban team. Every game even the ones they lost, they were the most physical team in the line of scrimmage. That's gone. Hour 2 coming up. Stick around.
After these messages, we'll be right back. Yeah. After these messages, we'll be right back.
Well, look at what we have here. Christmas come early. Boom. Little green onion country pleasing. That's not all. Little original smoked sausage flavor. That's not all. Jalapeno and cheddar. It has to be one of my favorite, just judging by how much of that stuff I eat. Oh, can't forget. andouille. Don't be saying andouille, it's andouille. And last, but not least, pork and pineapple, bun size, 3 links bun size. Look at that right there. Whee! Be careful. Come on with it. It's mine. Come here, jalapeno. Oh, that's all mine. Country pleasing sausage.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Welcome to my photography studio downtown Tupelo. Everybody needs a headshot, especially if you're in the professional world, in sales, any sort of customer related business, outreach business, anything like that. Everybody needs a headshot. Here at my photography studio in Tupelo, we do a lot more than just headshots, but we're kind of focusing on headshots for that very reason, because everybody needs it. Let me show you a little something about it. One thing I'm able to do here is sort of have 2 to 3 different looks in a small space that we can do in a short amount of time. Several different looks and styles of lighting with studio equipment, studio lighting. Some with flash and a particular look that I've worked on, a constant lighting scenario where you sit down, the lights are already on, you lean in, and we kind of illuminate the whole face. And we get several options in the studio in a short amount of time. Here's 2 priorities for me when I shoot headshots. One is it has to look like you. Okay, none of this fake stuff. The other goal is it's got to look like you at your best. And that's my job as a photographer. And I've got a lot of experience over the years, and I feel really confident I can do that for you. I would love to schedule a session for you here at the studio in downtown Tupelo. I'm above the Reed's Gift Shop, just off of Troy Street, the corner of Troy and Spring. If you can't get to Tupelo, that's okay. Let's talk about it, because we can pack the studio up and come to you if the schedules fit and that sort of thing. I'd love to help you with your headshots. I think everybody needs them. I'm inviting you to please email me, reach out. You can go to my website, mattwhyattmedia.com, email address matt@mattwhyattmedia.com, and let's talk about your headshot.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi, local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday nights. So it's personal with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in all 82 counties in this entire state. And if anything does arise and you need to, run it up the chain or up the flagpole, the home offices for Farm Bureau Insurance are in Jackson, Mississippi. It's right here in the state of Mississippi. It doesn't get more local than and personal, the service that you get with Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. I can't recommend them highly enough. And if you haven't, recently, let them give you a quote. Home, life, auto. It's Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team.
007. That's 800-298-2007. 800-298-2007.
With Progressive Snapshot, you could save on auto insurance rates by driving safely, which is nice because you can just keep doing you. So keep on using that broken phone charger because it occasionally works. Keep quoting something you heard on a podcast as your own. Keep ignoring your sister's texts while you drive and after. And when baggage claim says, have a great trip, keep on saying, you too. And keep driving safely, and you could save with Snapshot from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Surcharge possible for unsafe driving.
This is Bulldog Country, your home for Mississippi State football and basketball. ESPN 105.9 The Zone and 1, 2, 3. Worldwide at thezone1059.com.
Snakes, zombies, public speaking. The list of fears is endless. But the real danger is in your hand when you're behind the wheel. Distracted driving is what's really scary and even deadly. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
WRKS Pickens Jackson. We are good to go. With more of the Matt Wyatt Show. Coming to you direct and live at the Zone 105.9 and worldwide.
Now, here we go.
At the Zone 105.9.com.
All right, here we go. Hour 2 of the show off and running with you. Okay, and so a little bit of housekeeping coming out of hour 1. First up, from Hail State fan on YouTube who says the quarterback at Arizona State, his first name is Sam. He said his last name is pronounced like the E is pronounced in Levy, so Levitt. Sam Levitt. I think I said leave it earlier, didn't I? So it's Levitt. Sam Levitt. I'll tell you one thing. He can fly. And he can play. And he does look like a different player than he did at times early in the year last year. And it makes sense what Jason out in Flagstaff has let us know is that the story was he was banged up, had rib problems. And, raise your hand if you've ever had any sort of bruised rib or cracked ribs and trying to play ball. It's tough. Like, of all the things that will hamper you, that's pretty close to the top of the list. So we got that. And then this absolutely should have been in the headlines, brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank. And my man Went. Where you at, Went? My man Went. Go to mortgagemanms.com. Jake Mangum had 3 hits last night for the Rays. He was 3 for 4 with a double and a run scored in a blowout win over the Mariners. And so his average is just about back up there around in that. He's pushing 290 again. I mean, and you knew it. He hit a stretch there where the ball didn't fall. Guy like Jake, you knew he'd hit a stretch where it'd fall like crazy. He's had a bunch of hits. I would bet you over the last month now. What is this? August the what? I'm sorry, September the. I bet over the last month or so, he's probably batting 390. Because he's really caught fire. The law of averages kicked in like it always does. All right, get on in here into the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. Beaver's driving this bus. Therefore, we're safe and sound. We can have a good time because the driver's doing his job. Making it happen for us. Get you home safely in your driveway about an hour from now. You can text, call, or comment on the live stream. Lots of ways for you to be a part of the show. And it's the same as, when you text or call or whatever, it's the same as if we were all in the, we plop down in the restaurant together. You see me and B over there eating at the counter and you come grab a chair, pull up, plop down. We'll pour some hot coffee in your mug. I got hot coffee from High Point Roasters in New Albany, Mississippi. Go to highpointroasters.com and get you some. Okay, let's see here. Country Pleasing text line. I'm playing catch up. If you texted me in the last quarter or so of the hour last, I will get to it now. We're gonna play catch up. White Denzel texted the show. He said Dogs 1-0, Union 1-0. Man, what a heck of a weekend. He said the Fighting Marcus Duprees didn't know if we were coming or going. He said Dogs look really good second half. Big game Saturday. Biggin. Got to have more than one half. A bad half this week for State will get you beat. Sure as the world. Regarding the hotel availability, somebody said it's a big softball, baseball, travel ball weekend in Starkville this weekend too, so that makes sense. There's a lot of people in town for that. Okay, here we go. Scott texted me referring to the Alabama loss or Texas or any others that may have been similar. He says, we're going to see a lot more of this season. Meaning what, Scott? These upsets or these teams that were good are all of a sudden bad and teams that were bad are all of a sudden good? Just the quick turnover and stuff? Is that what you're saying? Humphreys County Dog, quoting the late, great Mike Leach, he said, this is the mood for this week, Arizona State week. He said, let's whip Kenny so bad that he spends all night at the casino buffet. The quote from Mike Leach is, it takes an entire week to beat somebody. We didn't just beat him today. We beat him all week long. Never forget that. He's talking about preparation and focus every day. Ronnie texts the show and says State will win this weekend. So he's got State beating Arizona State going 2-0. Somebody texted in and said, Matt, did you see what Clinton did to Warren Central? He says, that game surprised me. Yeah, it was a whipping. I mean, Clinton, how about Clinton, huh? You know, and Clinton whipped up on them last year in Vicksburg, too. In year one of their new coach. This time they got 6 players, including their quarterback and another player or two that all transferred to JA, and Clinton starts the year in style. It was a big win for them. Patrick texts the show, says, has anyone checked in on anyone from Brandon since Friday? And says the Pups were abused by Tupelo. But the thing is, Patrick, it was a heck of a ball game for 2.5 quarters, 2 3/4 quarters. And then, yeah, late third quarter, it's like Tupelo had the one play to kind of break it open. And then here you go, defensive touchdown, and like the route was on. It's, you know, it's like Tupelo just had, and they did this last year. They don't have to play perfect. They just got so much size and speed and so many athletes. They just lean on you, and eventually it just overwhelms you as the game goes on. Joe Mailman said, train horns, like the one we use for the junction phone. He said TCU used to have one. They used it regularly some 10 years ago as they were running Ole Miss off the rails in a bowl game. Hitting the train horn. Okay, Patches wants me to review his text from earlier this year in reference to Alabama. He said, I will not say I told you so, but I told you so. Signed, Roll Tide. So put Patches in the group of people who tried to tell us this was coming. All right. Jason in Flagstaff, Arizona says, I've been trying to tell people all summer that this Arizona State team is not the same one that State saw in week 2 of last year. They really turned a corner late last season and started hammering people. And he said that was with Levitt still nursing the broken ribs. And, of course, you had Scattaboo and everything else. You know, y'all go look for it yourself. There's about a 15 to 18-minute package of highlights of their game against Northern Arizona on YouTube, so you can watch through those. And if you have the ESPN Plus deal, I'm pretty sure you can watch the whole game over again there, which that might have been where I saw it also. I don't know. But the thing is, you know, you look at it and see what your eyes see you. Yes, tell you that your eyes tell you. They had some mistakes. There was some similarity to what State ran into with Southern Miss, in that they had some penalties that brought plays back, you know, and a few things like that. Northern Arizona challenged them and made a few plays themselves. But in the overall, when you look at it, what I see is they're very big and they are very fast. The back end of their defense is very fast. Their O-line to me looked really like it. You could put any SEC team's uniform on them and it would fit right in terms of what the offensive lines are like in this league. And then, you know, you pair that with this receiver who they say he might be the number one receiver taken. We don't know. Like, he's big time prospect. And then this quarterback who, when he took off, man, he is shot out of a cannon. Throws it on the run pretty well. You know, he's a fairly complete player, it looked like to me. Running backs were really physical and ran hard. You know, there was some some familiarity between those two staffs, and makes you wonder about the game plan stuff. But I just see, they have built, athletically, they have built a real football team at Arizona State. I think State's got its hands full this week. And, you know, part of it, I'm not at all, I hope this comes across the right way. I am not at all poo-pooing the idea of encouraging a sellout and having a promotion like you're going to wear black uniforms and do a blackout and have fun with it. We're going to have a great atmosphere. I'm not poo-pooing that at all. Really, I guess from a university standpoint, it's what you should do is whatever it takes to sell the tickets and get build up a great atmosphere, even to the point of maybe begging for it. I think part of that is, too, you got all these stadium enhancements and the lights and the new boards and video strips and everything, and you really want to show that off for a big night game, right, against a good opponent. I totally get all that. But then there's another side of me that's like, from the coach and player standpoint, let's don't involve them in this begging for a sellout type of thing. Let's just let them worry about football. You know what I mean? But, hey, it's a business now. It's not just X's and O's all the time, and I realize that. Andre in Jackson reminding us that he's a 49ers fan. 32 teams, and I'm proud to say this one is mine with the San Francisco 49ers logo. Yeah, Scott said that new rosters, players, and coaches, you're going to see a lot of this regarding like Alabama losing to Florida State to a team that won 2 games last year. Texas, they can't get up and down the field offensively. All that kind of stuff. If it would make total sense, Scott, if it makes it less predictable, particularly going into the first week. And who cares about rankings? I never do. I don't even talk about them here because they're completely and utterly useless. The bigger the playoff field we get, the more useless any rankings are. And, but just to make a point, how useless they are. What were they basing Alabama's quote-unquote preseason ranking on? Does anybody know? What were they basing it on? Because here's what we know with 100% certainty. They weren't basing it on how they looked in preseason practice. So what were they basing it on? And if they're not basing it on how they look in preseason practice, whether they don't see it or whether they don't have the expertise to even know it, what they're looking at if they did see it, then who cares what the ranking is? Airborne Dog, Texas Show says, hey, Matt. He said, I asked you after last year's ASU game if you were worried about running game and incomplete plays. He says, you weren't. He says, what about this year? I'm not impressed with some players follow through with plays, i.e. tight ends or running backs blocking till the end of plays. Okay, Airborne Dog, I don't even remember all of that last year, but I got to tell you, last year, the Arizona State game, I didn't get to see it because I had COVID. And so I had to stay home and plug into the broadcast with Neil and Jay and them remotely while trying to look at it on a TV screen. And it was I was not getting to see it the way that we normally do. But, okay, so incomplete plays, following through, tight ends and running backs blocking till the end of plays. I don't know. It's an interesting question. Jared texted the show, says you can only watch the first half of Arizona State game, technical difficulties or something on the second half. Okay, gotcha. Well, maybe check out the highlight package. YouTube has an 18-minute highlight package that I think goes all the way deep in the game. And that receiver, by the way, Jared, had one of the more impressive over the other shoulder touchdown catches that you will ever see. Unnamed texter said, watched a great game Friday at Louisville, playoff type game played on the first Friday, won by West Point off of a late field goal, 9-7. He says, give me this high school intensity all season long. Look, I agree with you. Just like Brandon Tupelo the other night. I mentioned to you the tailgating, and it wasn't like jam full attendance on either side, but just the atmosphere. You hear the band. Brandon's student section was great. They were really into it. The people tailgating on the end. You look down there in the field, and you got anywhere from seniors that could be playing on a college team right now to ninth graders on the same team. I mean, little kids. It's just there's nothing like it There's nothing like it. It is absolutely the best level of football. Possum Neck Joe says, Matt, I love these insecure, I told you so goons who constantly need their ego stroked. Joe says, I predict Mississippi State will wear some form of maroon and white uniforms this weekend. It's going to be all black, though, isn't it? Those black ones look good. The pictures I saw look great. Ronnie, who texted earlier and said that State will win on Saturday, says, we have the talent for this game, Matt. When you look to last year, we didn't and should have won. Says, we got what we need to win, and we will. That's from Ronnie on the country-pleasing text line. All right, let me keep going. I'm on a roll. Over to the live stream on YouTube, my man, Jeff Chow, formerly known as Chow Dog, says, have you seen the cowbell simulation of Davis Wade that they're doing at the Arizona State practice? Is very cute. I did see it. Hey, Dad, got it. Somebody sent him a video, and he put it on X, and I reposted his post on X. And it's, they're out at practice. There's a guy like catching a punt or something. And there's one of his teammates running along behind him ringing a cowbell. It was, how about that? It's funny to see that. It really is. Will comments on YouTube, says, poor Sawyer Robertson had a Joe Burrow performance. 400 yards, 3 touchdown passing, but got a Bengals result, losing to Auburn. Yeah, he played well. He's a really good player, man. His development out there as he's grown up. It's a great example of why you don't give up on young guys, right? Because when he was early on at State, like he was struggling in scrimmages and stuff. But look at him now. You know, actually, it's kind of the difference, right, between a team that can run the ball versus one that can't. And if you make the decision not to run the ball that much, you just have to be the best at throwing it, and you can win. Sven said, just for the record, Kalen DeBoer's buyout is actually $77 million. Said he's going to be in Tuscaloosa this year, next year, and 2027. I don't know. You let it get bad enough, Sven. You never know what they liable to do. They'll sell part of their state. Next thing you know, they'll draw a line like south of Birmingham and sell that half of the state to, I don't know, Florida, because we need a football coach. Legba says, Hail State, Matt, we won. Very likely we might only win 2 games again, though. Hope I'm wrong. Tell you one thing, if they don't play any better overall than they did Saturday, they won't win that many more. The good thing is, though, they showed signs that they can. Yeah, they got some good players on the O front, but they've got to be better. Their defensive line I thought was good. You know, first of all, Jamil Burrows, who I thought has been really good in the spring and the preseason, didn't play the other day. He's nursing something minor, is what I heard. And so we'll see. You get him going, that's just another one in the mix that's big for you. DJ Reed, the Auburn transfer, played well at times. Bledsoe, the nose, played really well at times, kind of stopping things up. Whitson, had the numbers playing off the edge. These are all new guys in there, but you had some guys defensively that really played well. But defensively, they just add players. You're better up front. It allows other players to play better. Back end gets opportunities. They're improved on the back end too. This will be a whole different kind of challenge this week for sure. As far as teams that are down, Will said Bama, Texas, and Kentucky are down. Georgia is up, or at least neutral. Hey, Kentucky, I went and watched, it was this morning while I was eating breakfast, I watched about the 11, 12-minute highlights from their game with Toledo, and Kentucky has taken a step backward. They got Calzada, the former A&M guy, at quarterback. He's on about his 4th or 5th school, and he can throw it and play and everything. But they're not as fast at their skill player positions as they have been in the past. They're not as big and physical in their defensive front as they were even a year ago. And so Kentucky's going to struggle. I think everybody kind of knew that, but you could see it. Just the physical part of you could see it. So, they'll have to play their guts out this weekend to keep Ole Miss from scoring 40-something points. Really. Let's see what else we got here. What else we got here? Mr. Harmon, he said, I was at the Starkville and Oak Grove game. It started out slow, but when it got going, he said it was like a moving train with a sonic boom horn. I mean, a game with 1,200 yards of combined offense, and what was it, 50-something to 40-something, or over 100 points scored. It's hard to even imagine it having a slow start, but I guess it is possible. Sun Devil Macy texted the show and said, let's take a moment to reflect upon how great Tim P is for a second. And then says, respect the Sun Devils. Well, anybody that's watched the film going into this game's got respect for them. I promise you that. I promise you. Dog Tired in Florence. He said it is regarding State versus Southern Miss. State, 14 penalties, several misalignment penalties. How is that possible? If you get called out, how does a grown man get called out again? Yeah. Well, and so you look at the first half, State had 5 penalties in the first half. They were all on offense. And at least one of them, but maybe 2 of those 5 first half penalties brought touchdowns off the board. And then, so therefore in the second half, you had 9 more penalties in the second half. And I think 5 of the 9 in the second half were on the offense. And some of that's just offensive tackles that on the alignment, it's a little thing, a little detail thing where you're a little farther back than you're supposed to be. It's a point of emphasis for the officials since last year. So early in the season, they call it a lot more till everybody learns that you got to scoot up, you know. It's part of it. Rolling along with you, staying connected because of C Spire, the #1 network. Back after this.
This is Jake Man.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey y'all, Matt Wyatt here. Each week on the Mississippi Outdoors Podcast, we talk with the people who live it. Hunters, biologists, game wardens, local celebrities, and storytellers that know Mississippi better than anyone.
Those bass come up there and attack them. You know how mean bass can be there.
You're never going to believe this. Matt Wyatt just talked about your deer on the radio. I said, what did he say? He said, it was Photoshopped. And I said, what?
They don't know anything about hunting. They just have never had that right, that freedom.
Dude, that's us, man. That's what we do. So tune in. Be inspired, and we'll see you outdoors.
After these messages, we'll be right back. Yeah.
Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. Local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday nights. So it's personal with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in all 82 counties in this entire state. And if anything does arise and you need to, run it up the chain or up the flagpole, the home offices for Farm Bureau Insurance are in Jackson, Mississippi. It's right here in the state of Mississippi. It doesn't get more local than and personal, the service that you get with Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. I can't recommend them highly enough. And if you haven't, recently, let them give you a quote. Home, life, auto. It's Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Well, look at what we have here. Christmas come early. Boom. Little green onion country pleasing. That's not all. The original smoked sausage flavor. That's not all. Jalapeno and cheddar. It has to be one of my favorite, just judging by how much of that stuff I eat. Oh, can't forget. Andouille. Don't be saying andouille, it's andouille. And last, but not least, pork and pineapple. Bun size, 3 links bun size. Look at that right there. Be careful. Come on with it. It's mine. Come here, jalapeno. Oh, that's all mine. Country pleasing sausage. The Junction Delis, convenience redefined, and Prince Oil Company, a match made in heaven. The Junction Deli, fueled by Prince Oil Company. Prince Oil Company has been fueling Central Mississippi since 1960s, pretty good little while. Wonderful people. Man, am I ever more tickled that they're a part of the show and I'm a part of it.
1059 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
Back with you, I'm Matt. In the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. They are your home team. Will said on YouTube, if Ferry can hit 55-yarders consistently, then he might be playing on Sundays next year. Super talented. Super talented. And he's just gotten better and better and better. I think he's worked really, really hard also. CWR texted the show and says, what was your most shocking win or loss from the weekend? And I'll give you my answer. And CWR, if you're still listening, I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Shocking win or loss. I think for me, Alabama losing to Florida State, I'm not shocked that Ohio State would beat Texas or that Ohio State's defense would give Texas fits. I'm not shocked by it at all. Maybe even Bama losing to Florida State, maybe there'd be a way you look at it and go, not be shocked with the fact that they lost. I still am, because Florida State was, so bad off last year. But the way they did it too. I mean, as the game went on, Florida State just on the line of scrimmage, lineman, nose to nose, just chewed Alabama up and spit them out. And you can't really, to that extent, you can't really find games in recent memory where it happened that way. I mean, you really can't. Wins, shocking wins. I don't know that there's necessarily one in the SEC for me. I might have to look elsewhere. And let's see. What else happened in the top 25? There we go with those rankings again. I don't know. Let's see. It's not Oregon. Certainly not Arizona State. Not Michigan. Not Florida. Not SMU. Not Oklahoma. I'm looking for a shocking win. No, I don't have one. I really don't. I can't say that I have one. The only thing I was really shocked by was the Alabama deal with Florida State. What did you think? J-Rock texted and said, I wonder how Southern Miss and Northern Arizona would compare to each other. Which one of us played the better team? Good question. I don't know enough about Northern Arizona to answer it off the top of my head. Watching, this is just what kind of to the naked eye, watching those, again, 18 minutes or so worth of highlights from the Arizona State, Northern Arizona game. I do think Northern Arizona versus Southern Miss would be a competitive ball game. I think Southern Miss, with all those 65 new players they went and got, probably is a little faster football team. You look at Southern Miss's secondary, they're probably a little faster football team, there than Northern Arizona is. But Northern Arizona is probably a little bigger and better football team on the line of scrimmage, particularly like Northern Arizona's offensive line, I think, is better than Southern Miss's. That's all I got. Without then just totally, wondering out loud. CB95 Texas Show says, Matt, you think Levy will need to inject Taylor into the lineup to mix it up regarding the game plan against Arizona State, the backup quarterback? Yeah, sure. I think, I think it's absolutely a possibility, and it's going to, you'd have to kind of get inside Levy's head to know like what the true evaluation is of how far along Mario Taylor is right now, what he can handle, what they've worked on all these weeks in practice in terms of that short yardage package or running quarterback package with him. But I know that it looked really good when I saw, and it's just short yardage stuff, but I just love the look of it. There's an extra quick burst with Camario, and I'm just telling you, the first few times that people get a chance to watch him throw the ball, there is no lack of any sort of arm talent or ability to throw it. It's all about decision making and then experience and how to process what's happening when you're playing these really fast teams. When he's a true freshman that was playing in high school football last year this time, so you got to bring him along at the right speed. Love getting him involved. Possum Neck Joe says, Matt, I was wrong about the uniforms. Doesn't make any sense to me to wear black uniforms this time of year. Plenty of cool weather coming later. Man, I know. I mean, I'm not saying I disagree, but that makes me think about the weather. Joe, have you looked ahead? You talk about getting lucky. Again, now look, if I'm looking at this right, and if this isn't lying, this says that in like I'm looking at Tupelo where I live in North Mississippi, which, as you know, is not far. Friday is going to be before a little front comes through. It's saying in North Mississippi on Friday, it's going to be blooming hot. I'm talking about hot. Then overnight into Saturday morning, a little front comes through, and it's saying that Saturday in North Mississippi with a 50% chance of rain early in the day. 81 degrees is the high with a low of 63. Sunday, mostly sunny, high of 83, low of 60. And it's highs in the low to mid 80s for a solid week after that. So we may be sitting there chilly at the ball game on Saturday night for all we know. Over there on the live stream, Scott, he's on X. He said Oregon's punter, Ross James from Hartfield Academy, didn't have to punt one time on Saturday for Oregon. He was among the punt leaders in FBS last year, but barely can punt often enough to qualify to make the list. That's how good Oregon's offense is, or at least in some of these types of games. Jason in Flagstaff texts the country pleasing text line. State was nowhere near winning that game last year. Arizona State had their defensive starters on the bus mid-third quarter. Final score not indicative of how lopsided the game was. That according to Jason in Flagstaff in the matchup with Arizona State last year. And then here we go. A couple of these, because Flowtown Ghost, you had the same question. I got a question here. Somebody says, what's your take on Arch? You think he gets back on track if Sark takes off the training wheels? Well, listen, I have not studied the film. All I did is one time, really, maybe twice, go back and just watch quickly through the larger package of full game highlights of Arch Manning and in Ohio State. And on my first glance, basically you hear all this stuff, you see the final score of the game, but it's on first glance. He himself wasn't nearly as outrageously bad as a lot of people made him out to be in that game. And I know it's a lower percentage, 17 completions on what? How many attempts? 30? Okay, so that's not great. Okay, but again, it's Ohio State who, man, they swarmed. Ohio State was all over them. Ohio State's really good on defense. I know this is Texas. You're supposed to be number one, but, there was a couple of misses. There's a few other times where he would make the right read and it's covered and somebody defensively would make a play. He did have a couple of times he misread. But he also, in the game, he also made a few phenomenal throws, like big time throws. And, you know, when I've seen a couple of times now this comment about training wheels for Arch Manning, and I didn't really see it that way. The way these offenses are working is, especially in a one-score game, or tie game, it's management from a quarterback standpoint of just, you got all these options and you're taking what they give you. Sven, you're saying that he had 40 yards passing into the fourth quarter, I guess. I'd have to go look at it and kind of watch the whole game myself. But, you know, regarding training wheels being on, I don't know. It's like if a team is taking stuff away from you down the field, where the only way you could get it, you know, into that second or third window would be to take a chance into a defender. Well, then in a close game, tied or one-score game, your job as a quarterback is to take what they're giving you, which is sometimes often underneath. And so the read takes it there. Like what the defense dictates it, the read takes it there if they cover somebody who's a number one down the field. Does that make sense? So it's not as easy as going, hey, look, he had a bunch of these short throws, so that means his coaching staff won't let him throw it down the field. No. And then you go, well, he hit it late in the game. Okay, well, late in the game, you're running out of time. Now there's no more of this one-score meat of the game approach. It's we got to take risks now. And if they pick it off, they pick it off. But we got to chunk it. You see what I mean? So I just need to go back and look at it a little closer, and see if that's the way it really looks. Maybe I'll have time to do that. Maybe I won't. I do know that this week, tomorrow, I have a special treat for you here on the show. A really cool treat for you here on the show for tomorrow, because I'm going dove hunting. In Lowndes County. It opened up this past weekend. But something really cool is going to happen on the show tomorrow, and I'll tell you all about that. If you don't know what's happening, I'll tell you what it is on the other side of the break, plus your takes on the text line and the phones. Hang in there, Jason, coming to you if you have time. Back after this.
Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. Local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone, because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday nights. So it's personal with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in all 82 counties in this entire state. And if anything does arise and you need to, run it up the chain or up the flagpole, the home offices for Farm Bureau Insurance are in Jackson, Mississippi. It's right here in the state of Mississippi. It doesn't get more local than and personal, the service that you get with Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. I can't recommend them highly enough. And if you haven't, recently, let them give you a quote. Home, life, auto. It's Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Well, look at what we have here. Christmas come early. Boom. Little green onion country pleasing. That's not all. Little original smoked sausage flavor. That's not all. Jalapeno and cheddar. It has to be one of my favorite, just judging by how much of that stuff I eat. Oh, can't forget. Andouille. Don't be saying andouille, it's andouille. And last, but not least, pork and pineapple. Bun size, 3 links bun size. Look at that right there. Be careful. Come on with it. It's mine. Come here, jalapeno. Oh, that's all mine. Country pleasing sausage. We'll be right back after this message from C Spire. My name is Matt Wyatt. I host the Matt Wyatt radio show out of my home using C Spire fiber.
And when we hit the road as a family, Matt's show goes with us, thanks to C Spire Wireless.
Its ultra-reliable nationwide network lets me broadcast live from anywhere.
And never miss a moment that matters.
Connecting you to what inspires you most on C Spire's blazing fast 5G network. And right now, get your choice of free phone. That's customer inspired. That's C Spire.
Y'all like coffee? I know you do. Check it out. Little High Point Roasters from New Albany, Mississippi. That is the breakfast blend. It's whole bean. And if you notice, that's how much I've had already. Brazil Oberon. Not Ogeron or Orgeron, you LSU. No, Brazil Oberon. That ain't all. What we got there? What flavor is that? Papua New Guinea, grade AA. Bring it on. High Point Roasters, New Albany, Mississippi. Roast it right there. That's whole bean. One more. I got more. Ah, tried and true.
1059 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
Back with you, I'm Matt. All right, let's first things first. Don't make him hang on any longer, Matt. Let's head over to the new Junction phone line. Fueled by Prince Oil Company. They've been fueling Central Mississippi since 1960. Fuel in your stomach, fuel in your vehicle, all the way around. On line 1, it's Jason in Flagstaff, Arizona. What's up, Jason?
Nothing much. You hear me all right?
Yep, loud and clear.
Oh, now, just to emphasize that last bit of my name there is in Arizona.
Okay, thanks. Did I say from again?
No. I would like people to hear that.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I know quite a bit more about this team that's probably going to destroy us than most. And as I was telling Beaver, I'm scared and not very happy. And I wish I was wrong, but yeah. Anyway, the guy asked about Southern Miss and Northern Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so complicated because of how bad Southern Miss has been. But Northern Arizona's an FCS because they were a playoff team last year and were pretty good. But I have no idea who. I think they would have probably beat Southern Miss to death last year, but I don't know about this year with all the transfers and all that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But they did beat Arizona a couple of years ago, so who knows?
Who knows?
I called because I did notice something during that game the other day, the Arizona State NAU game, and I wanted to see what you thought. There was a sequence there in the second quarter where Arizona State went 3 and out a bunch, like really quickly, and Northern Arizona was able to move the ball some. So I'm wondering if Arizona State has a tiny bit of a depth problem.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see if you thought State maybe, if everything went right, if State could take advantage of that.
Yeah. Well, I wondered about that too, and they were playing some other people, some at that point in that game, I think, Jason. And I tried to glean another clue about some of that by watching the Kenny Dillingham press conference. I guess it happened yesterday on Labor Day, but he got into talking about that they had so many veterans back on this team as opposed to last year, that this year's fall camp, he intentionally dialed it back a little bit to sort of preserve legs and cut down on a few of the camp injuries and stuff, because he wasn't as worried about the physicality of the team, and that he knew that might have some drawbacks in the first couple of games, but that it would pay dividends as the season went on, that they might be a little more fresh, down the stretch of the season in conference and later in the year because of all these veterans. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah.
And I just wondered, when I saw it, I thought, okay, that might make a little sense in that maybe therefore some of your younger players, depth on a defensive line and depth at linebacker and stuff, maybe they're going to take their licks a little bit when they play early in the year. So I think there's something maybe to that a little bit.
All right. And I wanted to ask you, too, did you watch the highlights or the whole game?
Well, I watched all the highlights. And at one point I pulled up the whole game and I got about halfway into it and fell asleep. So I tried to watch the whole game, but I didn't stay awake.
Did it happen to show those two, the quarterback, Levitt, where he had two really long touchdown passes in a row and they both got called back? Did you see those?
Yeah, I did see that.
How, because I told y'all he had broken ribs last year, and he was better than he played, but I had no idea that kid was this good.
Yeah, he's really good. He's really good.
Yeah, he's something.
I'll
hang up and listen. Y'all have a good day.
You too, Jason. Thanks. Yeah, Levitt. He's talking about Levitt, the quarterback at Arizona State. See, and I think early in the year last year, I didn't know that he supposedly had banged up ribs and was playing through it. I didn't know. But even then, he did some running around, but they struggled to really pump the ball down the field consistently. He got better at it as the year went on, but it could have just been getting more healthy. The other day, he did throw it well. He can throw it. I mean, just in terms of prospect, if y'all will go and watch, you'll see Levitt is a quarterback who can drive a defense crazy with his legs. Now, if let's reverse engineer that a little bit. If your State, you just played a team going into the first game that you knew had a quarterback who was going to, use his legs. Not only to improvise, which he did some, and extend plays, which he did some, but to design run the ball, which he did some. And Braylon Braxton for Southern Miss was their run game the other day, period. In terms of doing a good job, State's defense. Let's see. He, as a quarterback, had 58 yards rushing on 12 carries, including a 12-yarder. So he was a little under 5 yards a carry himself as a QB. But everybody else nobody had more than 3 yards a carry. The running backs, Pittman, Briggs, Jones, they had a combined 21 carries for, hang on, I'm going to tell you, 35 yards. No, that's not right. 45 yards. A combined 21 carries for 45 yards. One of them averaged 2.6 yards a carry, one 1.8, the other one 2.2. So in terms of running the ball, Southern Miss's mobile quarterback, he's the only one. And in that game, I felt like what I was seeing is at times State had a plan that put Isaac Smith in a position to play the quarterback where, it's kind of like a spy deal, if you want to call it that. Sometimes it would look like the old, Tampa 2 coverage where you got these two safeties and then there's this robber in the middle, just hanging in the middle of the coverage there. Well, that would be Isaac Smith's son. And I felt like, well, the reason they're doing that is he's spying a quarterback. If quarterback rolls or leaves, it's him. He's gone. If he stays in a pocket, I just roam around and make a play, which is what happened with Isaac Smith. He left the pocket. the quarterback did to the right late in the game, and Isaac Smith almost intercepted that ball and tried to throw it back into a teammate, and all he had to do was just catch it and come down. His foot was in. I think that was the role. And so you just had that experience. You just had that game plan where you're playing for a guy that you expected him to be a huge part of their run game, and you defend it and you have a plan for it. And I think you're going to have a similar type of deal coming into this week, where Leavitt, his legs are going to be a huge part of their offense going throughout the year. And the double whammy is that when he's in the pocket, if the pocket's clean, he doesn't have to run around and make plays. He can stand in there and throw the ball. They're really going to have their hands full. And that's why that front is so important. So if you take State's defensive front performance against Southern Miss, and if you just, turn that knob up a little bit. You know what I mean? You get one, maybe you get Burrows in there this week. Maybe you get a little more confidence. Maybe you have some more things in a game plan from a coaching standpoint, stunts and some twists here and there that get a guy free every now and then and disrupt things even a little more. It's just going to be that much more important if you want to force some mistakes. But they're a really good offense. What I saw are, they don't have a scatterboo, but they got a couple of guys who are really physical, one in particular, and they're both very fast. Yeah. I'll be interested to see, kind of how that looks and works this week. I just know that, my eyes tell me that Arizona State, that's a really good football team. Confidence, energy, yeah, the intangibles, but just the size and speed, they've got it. Jared commented here, Country Pleasing text line, and he said, Northern Arizona did a great job of moving their defense and hiding their coverages, and it seemed to confuse Leavitt coaching staff. And yes, that many 3-and-outs will wear on any team. They don't seem to be deep enough to overcome it. Yeah, go check it out. And I'll find some of those comments and maybe get them in here on Thursday. We can hear what Dillingham said. I did find it interesting. He goes, you got, 10 starters back on defense after last year. They're all that much more comfortable in the scheme. They're older guys. Quarterback back, a bunch of others returning at Arizona State. So fall camp for them in terms of how much they hit and tackled was a little different this year than last year. Last year, they had to have it up heightened level. This year, they dialed it back intentionally, realizing, it may mean that early in the year, there's a little more period of ramping it up, that it would pay dividends down the road. That could be part of it, too. And if that's the case, then some of your depth guys maybe didn't quite get all the tackling and physical work that you normally would get, and they have to kind of play through that in these early games. It's just a coaching decision. Maybe there's something to that. Maybe there is. All right. Wraps it up for today. Chris Brooks with Beav in the studio tomorrow. See y'all then in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. See ya.